I am excited to hang out with you today. Thank you all for taking the time to join me for this series of live streams that I have going this week. I am just going to give people a few minutes to join. I want to make sure I can see the chat, which is on this other monitor in case you see me watching over to the side. But before we get started, I'm curious in the chat, let me know where you're from and what your current role is and what stage you're at in your career. Are you someone that I would call a career climber? You're already working in your field and have been for a while? Or are you a career switcher, someone who is exactly as it sounds, switching from another industry to something else? Or are you a career launcher where maybe you just finished college or university and you're getting ready to find that first, quote, real job? So let me know in the comments, and then I'm going to read those as we go. Hey, Austin. All right, I see a bunch of you are here, which is great. I just want to check one more thing to make sure we're live on the right places without any tech glitches. Yes, we are. All right. And if you have friends or family, work friends, not work friends that maybe are in the middle of some career challenges or changes, feel free to drop this link to them as well. This recording will be available after we're finished here. So today, what is our topic? The number one thing holding you back from advancing your career. And it's probably not what you think. There's probably some deeper things going on that we're definitely going to get into. You might be thinking things like, I can't advance my career because I don't have the right network, or I need to learn another skill or get another degree or something, right? Maybe you think, I don't have enough time to advance my career, or it's the job market, right? It's too competitive, or you need more experience, or you lack confidence. But those may be some variables, but there's definitely another variable that I think applies to many of you that honestly, you're probably not thinking about. So before we dive into today's topic, though, I want to remind you that next Thursday, I am going to be teaching a class called Product Strategy for Your Career. And I'm going to be announcing some things related to the launch of Career Strategy Lab 2.0. If you're not familiar, Career Strategy Lab is a career coaching program I run. We've released a bunch of updates, and we're going to announce everything next Thursday. So if you want to join me next Thursday, you can just go to careerstrategylab.com/party, and that'll take you to the RSVP page. I will also paste it in the chat for you. Let me just do that. And let me do it on LinkedIn also. And then we're going to get into the topic here, but I just want to make sure you guys have that link because I know people are going to ask. So let me do that. I should have had someone from my team come, but oh well. All right, there we go. Great. Okay, so what is this one thing that's probably holding you back from advancing your career? So before we go any further, though, I want to get an idea of some things that maybe you think would be a result of advancing your career. So what does advancing your career mean to you? And be as specific as possible. So fill in the blank. Advancing my career means to ... Maybe it means to learn a new skill, right? Maybe it means getting promoted. That would be advancing your career. Maybe you want to become a manager, or stop being a manager, right? Maybe you want to start your own freelance business, get hired. There's so many things. So I want to see what some of you are saying here. Okay, some of you are saying, yes, you have certain skills you want to learn. You want to get 3 clients that will pay you $1,700 a month. I love the specifics of that. Let's see what people are saying. Get hired, finish my degree. Awesome. Okay, I see so many great answers here. Now, my follow-up question to you is, what is your plan to actually make this career advancement happen, right? And I say this because this gets into this topic of strategy that I want to talk about today. And so let's imagine that a company has a goal to grow their revenue. Okay, great. But if that company doesn't have an actual plan to grow the revenue, then guess what? By end of December, they will most likely not have achieved that goal, because without a plan, the rest of the company isn't clear on who's doing what. It's possible a lot of assumptions would be made. And without a plan, there aren't really milestones. So there aren't check-ins that can happen throughout the year to figure out, okay, have we done X? Have we done Y yet? Are we halfway to the goal, 3/4 to the goal, etc., right? The board of directors for this company that said they want to grow their revenue but didn't have a plan, that board of directors would not be happy, right? And it's very unlikely that the company would reach those goals without a plan. But companies that are strategic, they have those goals, first of all, and those goals are specific, right? It's not just grow revenue. It's grow revenue by X% or by X% through this specific product or service, right? So they have these goals. But what they also do is they break those down into kind of quarterly goals or quarterly targets, right? They want to do this in Q1, this in Q2. Then they create projects that help move them towards those quarterly goals. And all of those components, the quarterly goals, the projects, that accountability that comes from projects, etc., it helps them actually be more likely to take action towards those goals. So going back to what we talked about in the beginning, when it comes to advancing your career, for example, for the person that said they want to get 3 clients for, I think it was a total of $1,700 a month, great. Well, what are you doing to do that, right? What are you doing to let people know you exist? How are you finding those clients, etc.? So I'm curious, I wanted to take a look to see, for some of you who had other kind of definitions of what it would mean to advance your career, what plans do you have in place to help you get to those goals? So I'm going to see here. Let's see. Okay. The person that said they want to have 3 clients that I think total $1,700 a month said, you hit the streets and network. You have a good process of just connecting people. Okay. You've been posting on LinkedIn, signed up for Sales Navigator. Okay. Sounds like you have a plan that you're actually working. Okay. Let's see what other people are saying. Right. Right. Katrina said you need a SMART goal. Exactly. And the irony of all this is that you may do this in your day-to-day job for the companies that you're working at, but in all honesty, do you have, these specific and SMART goals for the things that you want to do in your career? And don't get overwhelmed. Let's not think about, the next 5 years of your career. Let's think of the next 5 months or the next 2 years, whatever feels good to you. But I bet if you're honest with yourself, a lot of us would probably say, you know what? I just have these kind of lofty goals and not specifics of what I want to actually do. Okay, so someone said one of their goals is to get a job at a place where I can grow as a product designer. Okay, I would challenge you in that and say, what does it mean to grow as a product designer? Are there specific skills you want to develop? Are there specific industries you want to gain experience in? So you could probably get a little bit specific with that. Okay, Katrina said, get my first job in user experience. Same thing. Do you have ideas for certain industries, company sizes, exact companies? If you do, you want to consider those because the specifics will help you be more targeted with the actions that you're going to take. Okay, let's see what else people are saying here. Let's see. Okay, don't be paralyzed. Don't be overwhelmed. This is why we're doing these live streams this week, to help you get on track. Okay, some of you said you're networking with professionals in your field, asking the right questions, etc. Okay, so I want to go back to this idea of goals and give you some things to think about that I think will help you take more strategic action so that you can really leverage your time and the activities that you do to push you towards these goals. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what's the why behind your goal, right? It's kind of cliche, but it's so true. Every goal really needs a why, a purpose, a motivation. And this is important, not just so that you can have like a nice motivational quote on your computer or something. It's really going to be the thing that helps pick you up when you feel like, as someone said, you feel you're paralyzed or overwhelmed or just don't want to do it. Remembering why you're doing something will keep you going. For example, I am currently writing a book right now. Now, there are many whys attached to that goal of writing the book, but if I didn't identify those whys and constantly remind myself of them, then writing the actual book would be taking a lot longer because I wouldn't be as motivated. I would just sit down and stare at the screen and get frustrated and think of all the other things I could be doing with my time. But when I pause and remember those whys, it helps me remember, okay, I'm doing this, I'm writing this chapter right now because I know it's important, because eventually when this book comes out, these things are going to happen, or I hope they're going to happen. So that's why it is so important. So for whatever your fill in the blank was, when we started out and I said, what does advancing your career mean to you? I want you to think about, what is the why that needs to be attached to that. And then the next thing I want you to consider is, what's your actual plan, right? Why is the purpose? Okay, why are you doing that? But now, what's your plan to do that thing? How are you going to get it done? And so you won't be able to do this in the next 5 minutes, but after you're finished here listening to this, maybe set aside some time later today or on the weekend to map out a plan of what is done in terms of this goal. What do you have to do between day and actually achieving that goal? And then start to fill in some dates. It sounds so rudimentary, but I bet a lot of you are thinking, yeah, I know this, I just haven't done it. And I really want you to do it this time, because when you actually create the plan, you're far more likely to do it. If we just keep running with my book example, because that's the example I started with here. You know, when I started writing this book in January, I made a spreadsheet, and a lot of the dates I put on there have shifted and were incorrect, but at least I had somewhere to start and some form of accountability to help keep me on track or give me, you know, a baseline. And now that we're getting into the middle/end of writing the book, this timeline is very helpful because there's a lot of unexpected things that are coming up, and I'm able to kind of stay focused on the details that matter right now. So for whatever your goal is to advance your career, make sure that in the same way that the projects you work on at work have project plans and project managers, you need to do this for the things that you want to be achieving and making progress towards. Okay, so you have your purpose, your why, you have your plan. Great. Now what do you need? You also need a posse. Now, what does that mean? It means you need a community of like-minded people who are pursuing similar goals as you. Now, they don't have to be the exact same goals, but when you do things in community, it helps you stay motivated because you can kind of feed off of each other's energy and progress and learnings and things like that. It also just gives you an opportunity to have a sounding board, right? Oftentimes we approach things in our career, especially when it comes to your job search, doing your resume or updating your LinkedIn or your portfolio. A lot of times people do these things in a silo. And when you do things in a silo, it leads to comparison, doubt, imposter syndrome, second guessing, etc. Versus if you have a posse, if you have a community of people that you can bounce ideas off of, check in with, etc., it helps reduce the risk that you end up kind of stuck in your own head. So I want you to think about, for the goals, to advance your career, do you have a posse? And where could you find one? Now, that doesn't mean you need to be in a community, online of 500 people or something. It could just be one other person. But there is such immense value in that. So you need to find your posse. Like I said, even if it's only one other person. Okay. And then the last thing that is really, really valuable when it comes to reaching these goals is finding a pacer. Now, what do I mean by pacer? So I've run multiple marathons and been running for ages. And if any of you run, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, a pacer is someone who, in a race, you run alongside this pacer, because the pacer's job, literally, is to finish the race in a certain time. So if I wanted to run a 4-hour marathon, at the start of the marathon, I would go find that person, that pacer, with the literal sign, like they actually hold signs that have the time on them. They carry it through the whole race. And I would go run with them. And the beauty of a pacer is that it helps eliminate a lot of the time and energy we waste kind of scenario planning in our minds, because all we have to do is just do what the pacer says. So in the case of the race, I don't have to constantly look down and check my watch and do math in my head to figure out, should I speed up? Should I slow down? Should I walk through this water station? Do I have enough time to tie my shoe? Like, I don't have to really worry about that. All I need to think about is, as long as the pacer is, within my sight and I know I can catch up to them, I'm going to finish the race in 4 hours. And side note, that actually worked, because I took 20 minutes off my marathon time. Years ago, I ran the Toronto Marathon and followed the pacer and took 20 minutes off. So you can think of a pacer like a coach, right? A coach, a leader, someone that you're following who maybe has done this before and can help save you from getting stuck in your head, or from like spending hours Googling stuff or asking the internet for advice. And we all know what happens when you ask the internet for advice. So, okay, those are the 4 things that we need in order to reach these goals and be more strategic. So we need a purpose, a why, we need a plan, we need a posse, and we need a pacer. So when it comes to your goals for advancing your career, I'm curious, out of those four things, the purpose, the plan, the posse, or the pacer, which one do you feel like you need the most, or that has been holding you back? You know, is it that you really recognize today, you know what, I didn't have a why, and that's why I stopped doing, you know, that course I was taking, because I didn't even know, I didn't have a why to remind me of why it was important for my future. Or maybe you're realizing, you know what, the big thing that's been holding me back is that I never had a plan, right? Or you were doing it in a silo because you didn't have a posse, or you were getting stuck in Google search results and advice from Reddit and LinkedIn because you didn't have a pacer to ask questions to, right? So I want to check over here. Okay. You guys are going wild in the comments. A lot of you are saying, okay, you need the pacer. Wow. All of you have said pacer. Awesome. You're missing connection. You're missing community. Right. And I'm curious, you know, how do you think that's been holding you back? Are there things that you can think of that you realize, wow, because I didn't or don't have a pacer, I've been ... What's that fill in the blank? Let me know. You've been spending too much time on Google and Reddit. Okay, makes sense. Yes, you've been allowing tasks to take too long. So it sounds like an element of accountability. Okay, got it. Right. So I think a lot of these things are pretty easy to do on your own, right? Identifying your why, like, sure, someone could help you with that, but ultimately it's got to come from you, right? Because you have to embody that and believe that. The plan, you kind of need to be involved in creating that, because you only know the context of your life, your schedule, your responsibilities, etc. But the posse and the pacer, those are definitely things that you need to look outward to, for sure. Okay, some of you are saying, I just don't know what I don't know, and learning takes longer. Exactly. So the pacer helps you shortcut, you know, in the same way with running a marathon. I could have Googled marathon training plans, and then I would have all these Google search results and they contradict each other, etc. But instead of trying to piece together my own marathon training plan, I just purchased the marathon training program from my running club back from when I lived in New York City. And I got access to the marathon spreadsheet, you know, training plan that they customized for me because they knew my running data. I got access to the coach, multiple coaches, multiple of whom went to the Olympics. So I knew I was getting quality, you know, coaching. And I was getting the community, because we would meet up twice a week in person, and we had an online group as well. So there's such value in that all those things, the plan, posse, and the pacer. Okay, some of you said you don't know which skills to invest more time in. Someone else said you're transitioning from marketing to products. You don't have much experience and feel like if you had connections in the industry, you could get recommendations and advice. Nicole said, sometimes I also lack motivation and get fatigued when researching and learning. Exactly, like the hours that you must spend, myself included, sometimes when I try and DIY things, you know, it's hours going through Google results and articles and YouTube videos, etc. Exactly, it can be exhausting. Okay, so when it comes to advancing your career, hopefully now you are realizing what has been holding you back. So I'm curious, what do you think has been holding you back the most when it comes to advancing your career? And what's one thing, like if you could put it on a Post-it note, what is the one thing you need to do after today? I'm super curious because I want this to be very actionable. I don't want you to just listen to this and think, that was nice. I really, truly hope you go and take some action. So let's see here. What are you guys saying? All right. I'm seeing a lot of comments that say, I need to make a plan. I need to identify my why, because you've been kind of forgetting that and losing motivation and steam. Philip said, I need to focus on sales. Okay, great. So then I think for Philip, maybe after this, get more specific. What does sales mean? What's your plan for sales? Are there communities or positive people that you can learn and do sales with, Okay. No clarity. Someone said that's what's been holding them back. So for you, sounds like you need to focus on your purpose, the first P. Handani said, seek a mentor. Exactly. Okay. So it sounds like you guys have some specific action items here that you can do to help you be more strategic in your career, right? Because, action without strategy, to me, it's just busy work. Action without strategy, it makes you feel like you're making progress because you're spending time, you're at your computer doing things. But a month later, when you look back, on that Friday night that you worked on that thing, did it actually move you towards the goal, or was it busy work, right? Redesigning your resume, posting on LinkedIn, redoing your portfolio, hanging out in Slack communities where you're kind of just zoned out, watching stuff scroll by, but you're not like really engaging or building relationships, right? So action without strategy is busy work. And my hope is that you don't have any more busy work going on, because you're more strategic. And I really want you guys to go from just being people who set goals in your careers to actually being people who have strategies that you can execute to help you actually achieve those goals. So to recap really quick, in your career, to advance your career, you need these 4 Ps. You need a purpose for that goal, right? The why. You need a plan. You need a posse or community of like-minded people, and you need a pacer, a coach, a mentor, someone that's been there, done that, and who can help you kind of like leapfrog through some things that you would otherwise have to Google and search online for hours or days or weeks on end to try and find the answers to. They're like your lifeline or your SOS. Okay, so I want to see if there's any questions. I probably just have time for like 2 or 3 questions here. Let's see. Some of you said you need a mentor, you need clarity. Someone said, I've been doing everything I can to go to meetups, studying. I don't know what else to do. Well, maybe then I'm curious, which of the 4 Ps do you think you need to focus on? I'm curious. You're anonymous, so I can't say a name. Someone said procrastination and overwhelm are my bad guys. So opposite. You need a smart plan and people to hold you accountable. Exactly. And just stop applying to 200 jobs. Right. Because that is not super strategic. If a product manager were product managing your job search and they saw that you applied to 200 jobs, but potentially didn't get a single interview, like gigantic red flags would be going off for that product manager, because they would be thinking something is wrong. So let's go investigate to figure out what's wrong. So you are not spending more time applying to jobs if so far 0 of the applications have resulted in interviews. All right. A couple of you are saying never feel good enough. Confidence is huge. And I think confidence can sometimes get turned around when we stop operating in isolation, and get ourselves into community and get ourselves with other people who are maybe a few steps or miles or lightning years ahead of us. Okay. Awesome. The 3rd P, yes, let's go over the third P. First P, purpose. Second P, plan. Third P, posse, P-O-S-S-E. At least I think that's how you spell it. That's what I wrote down. And fourth P is pacer, P-A-C-E-R. Those are the 4 Ps. All right, everyone. Let's see. Okay, Nicole said you think, oh, you were helping Tia. Okay. Yes. Purpose, plan, posse, pacer. Okay, everyone. I think we answered all the questions as we were going. So I want to remind you that on Thursday, 2 days from now, I am doing another one of these streams. This one is going to be about why treating your career like a product can help you reach your career goals faster. We're going to look at the parallels between you as an employee, as a person, as a business owner, as whatever kind of noun fits the stage of your career right now, and the parallels between you and, companies selling products or services, and lessons we can learn from them to help you reach your career goals faster and learn how to apply design principles, marketing principles, and sales principles to your career. So just make sure that you go follow me on LinkedIn and then turn that bell on, and you'll see the notification come up that I'm going live on Thursday, or on this page on careerstrategylab.com/party at the top. I'll put it in the chat. I just remember this. Link for Thursday live stream is at the top. Great. And then don't forget that on next Thursday, so July 6th, I'm hosting that masterclass called Product Strategy for Your Career, where we're going to go into some of what we talked about today and a lot of other things in a lot more detail. And I am revealing Career Strategy Lab 2.0, which you heard me talk about earlier. And you can learn more about those events at that link, careerstrategylab.com/party. It's party because it's the 2nd anniversary of me launching Career Strategy Lab. I should have said that. So we're having a little bit of a celebration as well. All right. Thank you all for coming. I look forward to hearing your updates in the coming days and weeks. Make sure you follow me on LinkedIn so you get notified about that next live stream and future live streams. And go out there and put these 4 Ps into practice. All right. I will talk to you later. Have a great afternoon. Bye, everyone. See ya.